It's 6:45 this morning. Rigged elections. It is a common theory candidates bring up during election season, and Donald Trump is the latest to do so. Trump has ignited a firestorm of criticism by suggesting that if Hillary Clinton wins the presidential race, it would be because the U.S. election was rigged and illegitimate. And his claims of election rigging continues to intensify as his campaign tumbles. Trump believes there is widespread voter fraud across the country and that some Texas Republicans agree. However, voter fraud in the state of Texas is rare, especially on the specter that Trump is suggesting. Trump's talk of election rigging has now resonated with many because the latest poll numbers show he's cut Clinton's lead in half since making the claim. So do you think the election is rigged, and will this be what gives Trump the edge? It's a good question. It's also our topic this half hour. We want to hear from you on Facebook and on Twitter. All you got to do is use the hashtag Fox26Houston, where you can find us. Also, we got a roundup joining us now live from our newsroom. Please welcome Fox senior legal analyst Chris Tritico, Democratic media consultant Mustafa Tamiz, and right smack in the middle. Hi, Jackie. We got our Republican strategist and public policy analyst, Jackie Bally. Hey, guys.
Hey, good morning. So to be fair, as a moderator, I always try to stay down the middle, but I've been very outspoken about Donald Trump on this and have been highly critical of him and his statements about a rigged election and what I view as his trying to undermine our system, undermine our Constitution. So I want to get that out front so that people don't think I was unfair about it. Mustafa, and you've been critical of it too. It wasn't at the debate the first time he said this. He's been saying it for months. And what does something like that do when you don't offer any evidence of a rigged system? You just say it.
I think some people should consider that in Texas, for example, out of 254 counties, elections are administered at a local level. Vast majority of the people that are administering those elections are Republicans. So 2/3 of the House and our Senate and our statewide office holders are Republicans. So if the elections are rigged in Texas, which is what polls indicate Republican voters believe, then the results are that we've elected Republicans administering elections by Republicans. So I don't understand how this belief exists, but it's starting to exist because Breitbart and alt-right have created this alternative reality that Donald Trump has made into mainstream, and that's what is dangerous because it's starting to undermine our democratic process and the founding principles of our nation.
Jackie, since the debate, I've done as much research as I can do, and I've been able to uncover 35 confirmed cases of voter fraud in the United States, over hundreds of millions of votes cast over that same period of time. How is that an effective argument for Donald Trump?
Well, I think Donald Trump is making the same argument that Hillary Clinton, Al Gore, and John Kerry made in 2000. When their candidate didn't win, they said that there was something wrong with the system. And as Rita said in her introductory, he's not the first presidential candidate to make these statements. When we were talking about the primary, we talked about how the Democratic primary is rigged because of the superdelegate system. And of course, we saw through WikiLeaks how the Democratic elite tried to undermine the system by promoting their candidate Hillary Clinton. So for Donald Trump to say that if Hillary Clinton wins, he wants to wait for the results to see if he believes in the results or if he feels that they are accurate, those statements are very comparable. Oh no, actually those statements are better than the statements Hillary Clinton,
All right, let me
Al
ask
Gore,
you this.
and John Kerry made in 2000.
Hang on, let me ask you this real quick because we got to go. But you don't see a difference between Al Gore saying at the end of the process, after the votes are done, I think there's a problem in Florida that I want to see the vote recount in Florida, to Donald Trump for months trying to undermine the election before it ever starts? You don't see a difference there?
Donald Trump for months have been talking about the Democratic primary, which we all have, and we saw through WikiLeaks there was the elitists trying to undermine the system.
But you agree that Donald Trump didn't know anything about that?
Now he's talking about the fact that he wants to wait to see if he accepts the results.
That is not what he's saying. All right, let me go to Rita. She's monitoring our social media.
Yeah, here we go. We'll start with this comment from Tracy. You ready? She says, the most important thing we can do to defuse rigged election claim is to make sure that HRC wins in a landslide. And then she's using the hashtag vote. Let me see if we can pull up these tweets on the big screen. Producer Clay, can you hear me? Do we have it? Because I want to share Jay's tweet here, who says, stop whining, the election is not rigged. And then we have this one from Daniel, who says, I urge every Trump supporter to honor their leader by refusing to participate in this rigged election. And we will leave you with this last one, and then we'll throw it back to Chris so we can get more of your reaction. Nick says, real Donald Trump, he's talking to him. So if the election is rigged and you win, we should be questioning it as well. You are a liar and an enabler.
Which is an interesting, the last two, you know, to say don't participate in the election, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
And that's the thing, what we've learned with the Donald Trump campaign, that they've made lying a mainstream talking point. You can say anything you want, you can continue to spin, and you're not accountable for your words. And I think that once we pass this election, Donald Trump's going to lose, and he's going to lose badly. And the next day, you know, all these people are saying they're going to create some kind of revolution. They're not. They're going to take their kids to work, and they're going to move on. But the important thing is that we remember all those people that went out and tried to spin for Donald Trump on a national basis, and their credibility should also be questioned. But
let me ask you something. You just said he's going to lose badly. He has been ticking up in the polls since he really doubled down on the rigged election.
Look, it's a 4 to 6 point difference, and that election goes up and down. The numbers keep moving around, but it's a 4 to 6 point lead that Hillary Clinton's had from the beginning. And so whenever he goes way out there, some of the Republicans leave him, and then they come right back.
All right, Jackie, we got less than 1 minute. What about that? And that is a true statement that except for 1 week after the Republican National Convention, Hillary Clinton has been ahead in the polls the entire time.
Between 4 and 6 points. And we do know that Donald Trump has had a problem staying on message. And there's no doubt about that. So I don't know what the polls will indicate after we do see a shrinkage, but I don't think it's going to be enough. The one thing that I said about the last debate was that he needed to stop the bleeding. And we won't know if that actually occurred until we see the numbers of actual election night. But going back to the rigged system, this discussion has been going on since their primary, when we saw the superdelegate in actual play. And again, with the WikiLeaks, instead of saying these are the comments and these are the actions of the Democratic Party, the Democratic Party leaders are trying to blame Russia.
Let me let Mustafa get back in, because the difference between a primary and the general election is vast in my view. In a primary, you don't even have to have a vote. The party can say this is how we're going to pick our candidate.
It takes a giant leap from saying we think there are problems here and here to saying our entire democratic process is rigged, even before the first vote is cast. And so this bridge, the reason why it troubles many people like me, why it troubles it, because we go around the world saying the American democratic process should be held at a much higher standard. We tell other countries to follow our lead, and we're not able to do that.
All right, we got to leave it right there. I'm sorry, guys. We got to leave it right there. We'll be back in the next hour with 2 really good topics.
All right, Chris, Jackie, and Mustafa will be checking back.